Yes, I do. You guys got me?
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and begin. We're joined by Austin Dillon, driver of the number 3, Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet. And we're going to start with Bob Pockris. Go ahead with the question, Bob.
Yeah, Austin, with Bell and McDowell winning, two guys who weren't in the playoffs last year, not sure whether people thought they would get wins this early. Does that change at all your outlook as far as perspective of how many guys might get in on points and the urgency to win?
Yeah, I know. I think this season, two of the tracks we went to are definitely tracks that create opportunities for guys that you wouldn't necessarily just give them a spot or like think that they're going to point themselves in. But I mean, I think as the season goes on, there'll be some opportunities for points, but we saw it come down. It always comes down to one or two positions. I feel like when it comes to points, I don't know how many off the top of my head got in off of points last year, but I think winning is important. I mean, it shows every year now that winning races is really what solidifies you and gives you a chance in the playoffs. And man, I think we thought Bell was going to have a great year, and in the cars he's in, and getting him in his first win. Congratulations, by the way, to Christopher. And I think winning is just emphasized that much more, obviously. But it's always been the main goal. I feel more confident when we've won and got in the playoffs than just pointing your way in. I think it's pretty hard to point your way in and be successful when it comes to the playoffs, but there'll be a couple, I believe, that point themselves in.
And this year they're allowing owners into the infield. What's it like to see your grandfather in the infield, and does it matter to you on race day?
I think it's cool. I mean, for him, he didn't know what to do with himself during the time frame of not being able to go to the track. He finally kind of got comfortable going to our war room here at RCR and watches the races from there. But he loves being there. He loves being at the track and experiencing the racing. Is cool at Daytona, seeing him up on that perch above the Daytona 500 Club. And he's just he's one of those people that's involved and wants to be there. So I'm glad that they've let the owners back in the track.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Woody Kane. Go ahead with the question, Woody.
Hey, Austin, appreciate your time. I'm just curious about this weekend at Homestead with, before it was always ending at 9, and with it starting the earlier time now, if you expect any real changes to the way the track drives?
That's a good point. I actually haven't really thought about it that much. Tomorrow is our day when we get on the simulator and go through our process that we've kind of created when it comes to leading up to the track. But that does give me a little hint to start thinking more toward what the track does during the day. Nighttime, we've been pretty solid the last couple times. So during the day, I mean, that the top gets pretty dominant. So, that fence will be important. The guys that can run it consistently, and the darker it gets, I seem to move down the track and find more and more speed. And I think the rubber, when it gets laid down too, it creates a little more parity in the line that you can run. So, but finishing during the day daylight will be different, but it's also Florida. It might get a little rain, and we could finish during the night.
Well, I hope we've had enough of that. And then if you will, look forward to Las Vegas next week. It seems like that track is really coming into its own now surface wise, and you had a really good run in the first race there a year ago. Yeah,
Vegas is one of my favorite tracks. Always been a rough place as far as turn 1 goes, and being able to turn through the bumps is very important. Turn 3, you can't really miss the entry. It starts there. But yeah, the track has gotten a lot of character over the last couple of years, and that's what makes it fun to drive on, and you really kind of challenge yourself to be disciplined on your marks. And I mean, I really enjoy the track, and you saw Kurt Busch be able to win in the playoffs. We had a pretty solid run going, and I think we had a belt break. So we've got a solid baseline for Vegas, and want to continue the speed that we've shown the first 2 races.
Thanks, Austin.
Our next question is going to come from Claire B. Lang. Go ahead with the question, Claire.
Hold on a second. I'm having a spell. Okay, good. Let me ask you, Austin, what you have seen so far this season that has surprised you, and how much pressure you feel this early in the season to perform after what you've seen from the young drivers?
I think nothing's really surprised me. It's the NASCAR Cup Series. I feel like that's the most talented drivers in the world. And I think our team's up and brought lots of speed to the racetrack. And, road course racing has been my Achilles heel throughout my career. And last weekend we ran inside the top 10 the entire race, and we're there. I felt like I was gonna get my first top 10 at the road course, and kind of got caught up in a mess that I wasn't a part of it. I was just in a bad spot, wrong place, wrong time. It's kind of like the Speedway. If you get in those wrecks, it happens. But, I feel like we've stepped up and really brought two great race cars to the track. And I've just told the guys, man, we got to keep bringing that intensity level to the track each week. And I feel like we're going to be in great shape. What
excites you most about Homestead?
The ability, and first of all, it's an oval, getting back on a oval that's not a speedway, and just, first mile and a half of the year, everybody's excited. I think when it comes to seeing what kind of speed you're going to have in your program and where you stack up, because it can be a long year if you don't have your stuff together. And, Homestead, we ran good there last year. I think I got a tire outside of the box penalty, and we came from the tail end of the longest line to the top 10, 6th or 7th. And that was when my baby was born that same day. So I think we finished 7th, and it was fun. We had a really fast car, so I can't wait to get there. And then obviously Tyler Reddick is solid there. And I think that's pushed our program to another level when it comes to running at Homestead. And people really put an emphasis on that track for him because they know it's a place that he can show up and run really well. So I feel like we've learned off of our cars the last couple of years.
Good talking to you. Thanks for your time, and have some fun this weekend. All right.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Dustin Long. Go ahead with your question, Dustin.
Thank you. Austin, can you give me a sense of perspective? You talked earlier about it, and others have in the past, about running the high line at Miami, and just the challenge of that, and how that maybe changes throughout the race, if it at all does, as there's more marks on the wall and things like that. What just can you take me through, as if I was in the passenger seat next to you, what's going on and the challenges of that? Because I can't relate to that.
Yeah, I think as the race starts, track's pretty green, even though, sometimes you have teams and races before it, but it seems to be, at first there's a little bit of clean track up depending on weather that you can get. The higher you get, the cleaner the surface is, and it seems to grip the tire better. So you're obviously working right there against the fence, and a lot of people believe about that air gap between the wall. It gives you extra side force, and I haven't really done any research into that as far as aerodynamics go. But I mean, I've been told to believe it. So and there's just grip. It makes the straightaways longer. Is the biggest thing you're trying to accomplish, is being the throttle longer. And the guys that are really good at it can carry some speed doing it at the beginning of the run. But when your tires are the freshest, I feel like the most vulnerable for the people that run the fence, because it's the longest way around the track. That's why you see guys that they'll run the whole race up there and lead laps and look like they're going to be the eventual winner. But if a caution comes out late, they're in a vulnerable spot because they've set their car up to run one line. And then if somebody's kind of just got their car turning good enough to make a couple laps on the bottom before the tires really start wearing out, that outside line's in a vulnerable spot. So yeah, the goal is to use it when you need it. For me, I try to use it when the track goes for long runs. I tend to move up there and start using the fence to take care of my tires. And then also, I'm also conscious of not trying to knock the right rear off of it. So I have something for the end of the race. It only pays that last lap, obviously, and track position is key. But I think the only way to have a late race chance is to have the car in one piece and have it be a little bit more maneuverable. And this time around, though, with it being in the daylight, I do think that the top will be the dominant place to run, especially after a couple laps. But you've seen guys be able to make that 3/4 mark work as well, using the seams. The seams are as important there as the wall sometimes.
How so? Can you explain that in the seams?
Yeah, there seems to be like a fine line of catching like as you cross the seam, is getting to it as close as you can without going over it. It just seems like there's just grip there. And then when you cross it, it really just takes the wheel out of your hand and you're kind of catching it. And it's not good to just force the front end to do something that it's not naturally wanting to do. So any way that you can save tires by finding grip on the track is what we're trying to do when you're moving around and you're chasing different areas. And that fence is just another mechanism of trying to create grip. Obviously Dale Jr. explained it to me when I was first trying to learn how to run the fences. It's, you got to give up that entry a little bit, but the really good ones at it, it doesn't look like they're giving up any entry speed because they're back to the gas so early in the corner. It's a fun process, and you're on a razor's edge, and I think that's what's cool about it.
Thank you.
Austin, the last 2 weeks we've had, I guess you could say maybe surprise winners, guys that we weren't expecting to win races. So I'm wondering from your team's perspective, if it changes your mindset a little bit of, we really need to go out and be aggressive and go after wins because, getting at the playoffs on points, that may not be an option.
Yeah, that's how we've kind of gone after the first two races of the year. We throw everything at it. I think I could have been a little less aggressive in the road course and had a easy top 15 finish. We were trying to get more, get in a position where if a caution came out, we would have had a better shot. So, I think you got to be aggressive in all these races, give yourselves a chance and let points work themselves out. It's hard and stressful going at it in that mindset. I've kind of had to change my mindset because coming up, trucks, Xfinity, points were where my mindset was. If you had a bad day, salvage it. And, obviously you still want to salvage as many points as you can get in any capacity. But, for me, I've gotten more aggressive over my time in the Cup Series because I feel like it pays off better in the end.
Our next question will come from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead with the question, Jenna.
Hey, Austin. Ty Gibbs and Austin Cindric and Christopher Bell all won races. And with that comes the explosion of the young guys are coming and everybody starts talking about that. Denny today and Brad Keselowski today on Twitter have sort of bristled at the idea that young guys are coming for their jobs. You, I know, fall in the middle. You're not young, you're not old, but what do you view the landscape as? Are the young guys coming, or does social media followers and money matter more than talent?
Social media followers and money matter more. What I think is that the Xfinity Series is one level, and I think the Cup Series is another level. Everybody that has won in the Xfinity Series hasn't won in the Cup Series. And I feel like there's a whole nother stepping ground to that. And you see some great Xfinity Series drivers have a lot of success and come up the Cup and struggle. But, every situation is different. I feel like, team, car, whatever it may be, it still takes a lot to win in any NASCAR series. And you're good when you're able to accomplish that and make it happen. But the Cup level is just another level. I mean, Christopher Bell, he's a race car driver. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of car he gets in, he's going to be fast. And on top of being in one of the best cars in the field. Him being young is a part of it, but no, I think I'm trying to answer the question the best I can on I think talent always matters, but I mean, you also have to be a kind of a jack of all trades in a sense in our sport today, because it's you want to be able to be marketable and help your organizations as much as you can in any way possible. But and then also put in as much work as you can to be the best driver you can, because there's no testing and there's no really other way to get practice. So you got to be able to put the work in. And I mean, for me this offseason, that's what I focused around, was putting in more effort in the places that I struggled at, and that was road courses. And I went to work on that, and it paid off the first one, but I still have a ways to go. And I think young guys obviously have a great place in this sport right now, but there's also a great place for the guys that have created it and created a lot of the moments that we've loved and cherished. And the veterans also are the ones that show the rookies and all these guys kind of what's up. You know what I mean? I was in a fortunate time to be able to race with Dale Jr., Tony Stewart, and I learned lessons from each and every one of those guys that have kind of retired and moved on. And that's the great mixture that we've got right now. It seems like it's getting younger, but I think there's guys that are going to be around. And I don't know how old McDowell is, but he won the first race, so it's kind of 1-to-1.
He's 34. Thanks, you answered it. I threw a lot at you trying to set the question up. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Our next question is going to come from Dallas Young. Go ahead with the question, Dallas.
Hey, Austin. So back in September of 1970, the Cup Series going on to the Bristol Dirt Race, which is coming up in March. What with the new addition of dirt being added at Bristol, how would you prepare for this race for so many unknowns heading into that race weekend?
Well, I think the best way is the dirt race when you can. And, obviously there's a week of racing beforehand. I'm trying to get in a car and be able to go race that the week before in Atlanta when we're racing in Atlanta. Try to put that together just to see what the track does. And then past that, I mean, the iRacing is important. I think there's some good iRacing out there, but I don't know how you just have to pick a track that you think is going to be close to it. For me, it's kind of nice just because I've dirt raced before and have a little history and know, what it's going to take. And that's my best guess, is to just go race when you can.
And adding to your experience there on dirt, I know you won the Eldora truck race back in 2013. Is there anything that you can kind of like use from that experience into this coming Bristol Dirt Race weekend? Yeah,
it's baseline and a great place to start. When we went to Eldora, we were the first ones to go there and kind of be the openers on seeing if the track would even work. So I remember the process that we went through and getting our trucks prepared, and but then obviously winning and getting to the front of the field. And we came from pretty far back in that race and were able to pass and make it happen. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great baseline to have.
And do you see NASCAR adding more tracks and more dirt tracks actually in the future, maybe for an all-star event, maybe going to the Charlotte dirt track down the road from or actually across the street from Charlotte Motor Speedway? Do you see them adding maybe a dirt race for an all-star event, or maybe throughout the regular season?
The track from Charlotte, right? You're talking about Charlotte dirt track?
Yeah, the Charlotte dirt track, yeah.
I mean, we'll see how Bristol goes. I mean, Bristol has got a lot on their shoulders. They're not normally a dirt track. So getting the dirt right and making a good show, I'm sure they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders. And they're kind of setting the precedent, I think, for all other opportunities for dirt tracks, which that's hard, you know what I mean? Because they're not a Saturday night dirt track most of the time. So they got a lot to kind of uphold, and I'm confident that they can do it, but I hope it goes great and there is more opportunities for a Charlotte or another dirt track that's famous for dirt racing.
Well, I appreciate it, Austin. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Mike Solarte. Go ahead with the question, Mike.
Thanks. Hey, Austin, with the schedule being what it is, with 7 road courses on the schedule, and you said you applied yourself to working on that in this off season, and you open on the super speedway. When you go to Miami this week, it's neither of those. It's it's an intermediate. So what going off of last year, what do you guys have for what is basically a bulk of the schedule going into this week? And really, is it kind of an unknown because you've gone with the super speedway car and then the road course race? I mean, it seems like everybody's going into this week with a bit of an unknown as far as what they've got underneath them for these intermediates.
Yeah, it kind of always is that way. But I mean, we have a great notebook, and history from last season that we kind of base everything off of. And then the biggest thing is just the hard work that's been put in the offseason by all the guys to see where our speed stacks up. And then hopefully that I'm still a pretty decent 1.5 mile racer. And it's been typically one of my best tracks or opportunities to make gains. So, I think that we have a lot to gain from where we ended last year. And I was really positive about it kind of going into this year. So we have a baseline, and that's what we're going to go off of. And we'll just try and feed that for the next couple of weeks that we're on these 1.5 miles.
And I know that you didn't have the finish that you wanted to Sunday on the road course. And I don't know that I've ever heard a driver say, man, I can't wait to leave Daytona. But after a night like that, are you happy to get out of there and get on with going track to track like the normal schedule?
Yeah, most road course races, I'm like the first one to be like, oh, glad that's over. But I was so bummed because that was the first time I was like, I wish there was more laps. I want to run it back. I felt like we had a good car and took care of it to the most point. And then obviously, chaos ensued there when the caution came out with 15 to go or however many it was to go when we were running 11th. And I feel like we were an 8th place car, probably going to finish 7th or 8th, and just didn't miss the wreck I needed to miss. If I missed that one, we got a top 10 and we're really sitting top 5 in points, and we got stage points, which was nice. But that finish was a killer.
Thanks, man. Good luck.
Thanks.
Our next question is going to come from Ashley McCubbin. Go ahead with your question, Ashley.
And building upon what they were saying with regards to the this past weekend out of the road course, how do you put that run behind you as you look towards this weekend?
Oh, the one from this past weekend?
Yeah, as a driver, how do you put a bad race behind you?
Just get ready for the next one. There's a lot of positives from this past week. Like I said, we had good ran up front most of the day and literally were there all day. So take the positives from it and get excited about a track that we've had success at in the past. And I know that we can gain everything that we lost this past weekend and then some this weekend at Homestead.
And you mentioned that you've had success at Homestead in the past. What is it going to take, though, to get to victory lane?
I think we've got to build off of last year. That's our best. We don't have practice to get the car a whole lot better. We just take everything that we took last year and then just tweak it from what we find working in the simulator and look back at notes and be the best at adjusting what we were good at. I don't think it's a whole lot really that we're far away from there. Hopefully we've done our job. I know ECR's always got the power and our body shop's working hard. So we put all those things together that matter and then just be there when it counts, good pit stops, be there at the right time and take advantage of it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Our next question will come from Stephen Toronto. Go with your question, Stephen.
Austin, you mentioned the beginning of 1.5 mile tracks this weekend at Homestead, but Homestead is a lot different than the other 1.5 miles in that it's a pure oval as opposed to a tri-oval configuration. Given that, does that limit the amount that you can take away from this weekend in terms of what the state of RCR's 1.5 mile program is? And if so, is the real test going to be at Las Vegas the week after this as opposed to this weekend?
Man, every 1.5 miles, it's hard to say. Every 1.5 miles has something different. There's not one that you can lay over top of the other. They all take something different. And that's what's cool as these track age. They get something that you're good at, the driver might be good at, that they find is positive. I mean, I remember Kentucky when I first went there, it just clicked for me. It was just a place that I felt great at. And then you go to other places that, you might just not like the entrance to turn one and you seem to miss it every other lap. But for me, I think it's, Homestead's a good measuring stick because Atlanta has similar asphalt. We go there twice as far as the tire wear issue side of things. I've never really thought of it as the tri-oval not being there at Homestead. It's kind of nice, actually. I haven't even thought about that. Maybe they should make another one like that because Homestead's a pretty darn good one. It's one of my favorites.
Gotcha. Thank you, Austin.
Go ahead, Anton.
Thanks, Matt. Good afternoon, Austin. Your brother Ty had a difficult off-season, but still made it to the grid this year. How does it feel to see him racing and racing alongside you, given all the circumstances he's been through this off-season?
Yeah, it's great to see him at the track. I know he's working hard. He's happy with where he's at as far as the work he's putting in, and I feel like he keeps doing his thing. That something will come up for him, and he'll be in the right place at the right time. But yeah, it's always good to have the brother at the track.
Thanks. Wishing you all the best for this weekend.
Thank you.
And our next question will come from Garrett with Gas and Go. Go ahead with the question, Garrett.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, Austin. Austin, you're building yourself quite a nice portfolio on IMDb. So is acting something you're looking to get more involved in and maybe set yourself up for opportunities when you're done racing, whenever that is?
All of my IMDb acting skills have been in short periods of time. I haven't really had the opportunity to really show my stuff. And I think, as a lead role in a Hollywood film, I think I would absolutely crush it, but I'm not there yet. I'm going to focus on racing, and hopefully racing is the stuff that I get to focus on for a long period of time, where I kind of get out of my prime as a lead role in any Hollywood movie.
Got it. Well, we like watching your race, and look forward to seeing you on the screen a little bit more too. Thanks.
Thank you.
And our final question for the member of the Screen Actors Guild will be Dustin Long. Go ahead with the question, Dustin.
Yeah, Austin, I want to ask you about this past weekend when the caution was called for the rain situation. Now, NASCAR followed the rule book as it stated, is that if it's dry conditions and there's a wet situation on a road course, they're going to throw the caution to allow teams the opportunity to do some, to make potential changes. And Scott Miller said earlier this week that, hey, look, we've got spotters in that area and we know if it's raining or not, whereas the teams don't have spotters all in those areas. But we also see another series where the sanctioning body, the series officials don't do that and put the onus on the teams, which adds certainly another layer of drama to it. Is it, from a driver's point of view, are you fine with the situation as is, and that NASCAR called a caution and it was a safety issue to alert you of that, or were you already aware of that type of issue? Having passed through there, and kind of your thoughts of if this is something that might need to be examined or potentially changed later this year or for next year?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I was one of the guys, I came over the radio at one point. It was like, it's raining. And it was kind of like it picked up and it wasn't bad because, I know the speed we're carrying, and it was off a big track. 2 is where I was getting the most amount of drops. And for any speedway race, Daytona is such a big track that a shower can happen on one end and douse the track, and you come back through there and you're the first car through and you wipe out. So I get where NASCAR is trying to save a car, and that's a hard one because it's just a different track. But I did have the mindset while that was going on, because I kind of shut up because we were in a good spot there. I didn't want the caution by any means. And I didn't say anything because, first of all, my spotter and crew chief didn't feel like it was just passing through. And I started thinking like, wow, if it does rain, like, do we make that call? Like, are we the ones going to have to hit pit road and get rain tires first, or does the caution come out? Because I'd never been faced with that. And, NASCAR made the call. And then it also just stopped raining. I feel like as soon as the caution fell, like it was just like I said, it was just a passing shower. But yeah, I think it's something that they can definitely discuss and talk about. And I don't know, in Daytona's situation, it's hard because there's such a distance between the corners, and they do have spotters, and I feel like I trust them. But I think it would put an interesting fold into the race where we had to make the decision ourselves until we lost like 5 cars in one corner because the caution didn't come out and we couldn't get back around to pit road to put them on. That's a hard one when it just a downpour happens and you're not in that corner of the track, and then everybody shows up there, even though it's not raining everywhere else. That's tough.
Thank you.
Okay, Austin. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Good luck and safe travels down the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We'll see you there.
Thank you.